Hello everyone, this is Mumbo and welcome back to another Minecraft video, and in this one we are going to be asking the question, what is the fastest way to travel upwards in Minecraft? Now there are plenty of different methods that you can choose from. You've got things like ladders or minecarts as the basic bits, or if you want to get a tiny bit more advanced, you've got things like horse staircases and enderpearl elevators. Then if you want to get into the redstone side of things, of course we've got Slimeblock elevators and TNT player launchers, all of which are going to be covered in today's video. Should be fairly interesting, so let's crack on. So just like my recent video where we tried to work out the fastest way to travel in Minecraft, we're going to be splitting this up into various different sections. We're going to be starting things off with the basics, then we'll move on to the intermediate bits, and then finally we'll head over to the redstone section. So to start things off with the basics, we're going to be taking a look at the ladder, the staircase, the water elevator, and also, of course, the minecart track. Now, one thing that really surprised me about this test is how ridiculously slow the ladder is. It took 42.9 seconds for me to get from all the way down at the bottom right the way up to the top, which is 100 full blocks, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's a complete snail's pace, so we're going to be moving on from that one and taking a look at the stairs, which were 7 seconds quicker at 35.9 seconds. But there are one or two things that I want to point out here. First off, I was playing in creative mode, which means obviously I didn't have to refill my hunger, which could have been a problem if I was playing in survival. The next thing that I want to mention is it took quite a lot of concentration for me to not fly off the edge or run into the wall, which obviously causes you to lose your sprint. So maybe in the real world usage, this would actually be a little bit slower than that ladder, and that's never any good. Another massive surprise for me was the water elevator. Now I knew that this thing was pretty slow, okay? I was aware of that when I built it. I wasn't aware of quite how slow it was though, because to be honest with you, you might as well not be moving. It took 50.2 seconds to get from the bottom to the top, and I thought to myself, there must be some way to make this a little bit quicker, so I put Depth Strider 3 on my boots. But sadly, that didn't improve things in the slightest. Still 50.2 seconds, so I can categorically say you should not build the water elevator. And finally, onto the last design of the basic section, we have got the Minecart Rail, which took 15.4 seconds, making it considerably faster than any of the other options, and despite the fact that it's a little bit more expensive, I would highly suggest going for that one, because let's look at that. It took less than half the amount of time to get to the top than the other fastest method, which is pretty good. So we have a clear winner over there in the Minecart Rail, but we're now going to be moving on from the basics and we're going to take a look at some of the slightly more intermediate builds. And I have a feeling that these are going to be very fast indeed. First off, we have got the Minecart Clicky Elevator, then we have got the Nether Portal lift, then we have got the horse staircase, and finally the enderpearl elevator. Now all of these are pretty fast, and I can't wait to see which one is fastest. So let's get into the numbers. So let's get the ball rolling with the Minecart Clicky Elevator. I don't really know what that thing's called. All I do know is that it's ridiculously fast. It took 3.3 seconds to travel the full 100 blocks, which is completely obscene. I'm sure we broke a sub 1 with speed limit somewhere there, but that's absolutely ridiculous. So that's going to be a tough one to beat. But anyway, moving on to the Nether Portal now. In creative mode, I managed to do that in 3.6 seconds, which is pretty good going, but in survival mode, sadly, you have to wait for the Nether Portal to do its thing, which means it took 10.6 seconds. But there is one very important thing worth noting here, and that is the fact that if you had a Nether Portal at 0 and a Nether Portal at 256, it would still only take 10.6 seconds. You're not traveling anywhere, which means that the time doesn't scale, so maybe that's something to keep in mind. Now onto the horse staircase. Now for those of you who don't know, this was designed by JL2579. Put a link to his video down in the description, but essentially what this does is it staggers various different block depths, allowing the horse to run straight up the wall. Now sadly, it's been nerfed a little bit, which means that you have to do a little weave thing on the way up, and that's actually quite challenging, and I managed to get myself stuck quite a few times, but the fastest time I managed to get was 12.8 seconds. I'm sure if you did a lot more practicing, you could get a better one, but that was the quickest I could manage. So moving on from that one, we've got the enderpearl elevator. Now once again, this is a design by JL2579. I'll put a link to his video down in the description. But you stand at the bottom, you hold shift, you fire an enderpearl up into the string, and then you teleport there, and because you're holding shift, you actually stay on the ladders, which means that you can then teleport to the next section, then the next section, then the next section, and before you know it, you've done the full 100 blocks in just 5.1 seconds, making it by far one of the fastest designs I've showcased in today's video already. So I'll give you guys a quick sit rep here. In first place, we have got the Minecart Clicky Elevator at 3.3 seconds to get to 100. Then we have got the Ender Elevator, which was 5.1 seconds, and then following right after that, twice as slow, but still in third position, we have got the Nether Portal. So that is all of those. Now we are going to be moving on to the redstone designs, and we have got the Woolly Creeper Slimeblock Elevator, we have got the Old School Piston Elevator, and finally we have got the TNT player launcher. This could get interesting. Now, as I just mentioned, this first design is by Woolly Creeper, and I'll put a link to his tutorial down in the description because this Slimeblock Elevator is absolutely fantastic. It works reliably on servers as well, which is a massive bonus, and it does the full 100 blocks in 7.8 seconds, meaning it takes the new 3rd position. That's very, very quick to travel upwards, and I think is brilliant. But moving on from that one, we've got the old school style piston elevator. These things are a little bit dodgy on servers. I wouldn't really suggest building this one on a server. However, it does seem to work reliably in single player, and I managed to do the full 100 blocks in 11.1 seconds, meaning that it's relatively fast. Not ridiculously quick, but it's still pretty speedy. Finally, on to probably my favorite design of today's video, we have got the TNT player launcher. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to do a video like this without including some form of TNT, so we managed to do this, including the TNT fusing sequence, in 4.5 seconds. Now that is pretty fast, you know, that's a very fast design, but of course there are a few problems. First off, I was in creative mode, which means I survived. If you set yourself into survival mode, but you play in peaceful mode, then it's absolutely fine because TNT doesn't damage the player in peaceful mode. So if you've got a peaceful world, then this is definitely the design for you. However, if you're playing in normal mode and you have full diamond armor, it doesn't actually kill you. The blast doesn't blow you up, but you don't make it to the top, which is very strange. Don't fully understand that one, but sadly, this one isn't really going to work in survival mode unless you add ridiculous amounts of TNT, and that could get fairly expensive. So I probably wouldn't suggest it unless you want to look absolutely awesome. So in conclusion, if you want the fastest possible way to travel upwards in Minecraft, I would suggest using the Minecart Clicky Elevator. It was the quickest, and also is a pretty cheap design, which makes life nice and easy. If you want a fast way to travel large distances, then I would suggest using the Nether Portal. I would never suggest using a water elevator because that thing was absolutely useless. If you do want to use a redstone design, you want some form of redstone elevator, I'd suggest using the Woolly Creeper Slimeblock Elevator because that was the fastest redstone design, but also is extremely reliable and it works wonderfully on servers. If you've got plenty of ender pearls, suggest using an ender elevator, and if you want to look amazing whilst doing it, I would suggest using the TNT player launcher. So there we have it, ladies and gents. That is what is the fastest way to travel vertically in Minecraft. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.